saint of the day, beloved viewers of Lumen TV, Zambia. Today, November 4th, the Church remembers St. Charles Borromeo, Bishop. I'm your presenter, Borromeo Mtale, from St. Dominic's Major Seminary, Lusaka, Zambia. Today, the Church joyfully celebrates the feast of St. Charles Borromeo, Bishop, a shining light of pastoral holiness and a tireless reformer of the Church during one of her most challenging eras. His life stands as a living witness to the power of grace, humility, and unwavering dedication to the gospel. St. Charles Borromeo was born on October 2nd, 1538, in Arona, Italy, into a noble and deeply Christian family. From his youth, Charles displayed both brilliance of mind and depth of faith. Despite belonging to one of the most influential families in Lombard, he was drawn not to wealth or worldly honor, but to service in the Church. After completing his studies in canon and civil law at the University of Pavia, his uncle, Pope Pius IV, called him to Rome and appointed him to key positions in the papal court. At the age of 22, Charles was created cardinal and entrusted with the administration of the Archdiocese of Milan, even before his priestly ordination. However, when he was ordained priest and later consecrated bishop in 1563, his life took on a deeper and more spiritual direction. He fully embraced his vocation as a shepherd, implementing the reforms of the Council of Trent, which he had personally helped to conclude. As Archbishop of Milan, St. Charles became a model of pastoral leadership and reform. He worked tirelessly to restore discipline among the clergy, insisting on moral integrity, prayer, and theological formation. He founded seminaries for the proper training of priests, a crucial reform that remains one of his greatest legacies. He also emphasized catechesis for the faithful, establishing schools and promoting the use of the Catechism of the Council of Trent to strengthen Christian teaching in homes and parishes. But Charles's holiness was not confined to administration. His life was marked by extraordinary humility and charity. During the plague of 1576, when civil leaders fled Milan in fear, he remained among his people. He personally cared for the sick, organized processions of prayer and penance, and even sold his own possessions to provide food and medicine for those in need. In this, he reflected the heart of the good shepherd who lays down his life for the sheep. His motto, Humilitatis, humility, summarized the very essence of his life. Though a cardinal and archbishop, he lived with great simplicity and prayer. He frequently spent night in adoration before the Blessed Sacrament and lived a life of penance and austerity, aware that reform must begin with oneself. For St. Charles, holiness was not a distant ideal, but a daily commitment to conversion and service. St. Charles Borromeo died on November 3rd, 1584. His sanctity was immediately recognized by the faithful and was canonized in 1610 by Pope Paul V. His relics rest in the Cathedral of Milan, where his memory continues to inspire the faithful and clergy alike. Let us now pause for a brief moment to reflect silently on the example of this great shepherd of souls and the ways we too are called to holiness and service in our own life. Let's now take a break. Welcome, beloved viewers. The life of St. Charles Borromeo offers us a deep lessons for our time. He lived during an age of confusion and moral laxity and crisis in the church. Yet, he did not lose faith. Instead, he became an instrument of renewal through holiness and reform. He understood that the renewal of the church does not begin with criticism or external change, but with personal conversion and spiritual integrity. Beloved viewers, his whole life teaches us that every Christian, whether bishop, priest, or lay person, has a role in building up the body of Christ. His devotion to the Eucharist reminds us that the heart of all reform and holiness is communion with Christ himself. His courage during the plague challenges us to live our faith with compassion and self-sacrifice, especially in moments of suffering or fear. St. Charles also reminds us of the sacred responsibility of formation. He believed that the church must prepare our ministers and faithful, not merely with knowledge, but with hearts aflame with love for God. In his pastoral letters, he wrote, "We must meditate before, during, and after everything we do." The better we prepare ourselves, the more faithful our actions become. His emphasis on spiritual preparation remains a timeless call to prayerful discernment and fidelity to one's vocation. Beloved viewers, St. Charles Borromeo is a saint for our age, an age that seeks renewal, authenticity, and faithfulness. His life invites us to reform our hearts, to strengthen our commitment to prayer, and to live in deeper communion with Christ and his church. Like him, we are called not to despair at the challenges around us, but to be instruments of grace and within them. Let us remember that St. Charles Borromeo's greatness lay not in hopeless title position, but in his fidelity to the gospel and his love for the gospel, for God's people. His life shows us that holiness is the soul of all true reform. In every age, the church needs men and women like St. Charles, people of prayer, courage, and humility who seek not their own glory, but the glory of God. Be what you are called to be, said St. Charles, and you set the world on fire with the love of God. Thank you, dear brothers and sisters, for joining us today on Lumen TV as we honor the memory of St. Charles Borromeo, Bishop. May his intercession strengthen our faith, renew our hearts, and inspire us to serve the church with joy and holiness. Until next time, bye.